Well, hello everyone and welcome to this Lifeboat exclusive special edition webcast. My name is Don Gries. I am the Manager of Business Development and Vendor Programs here at Lifeboat Distribution, and I thank you all for attending. Today is a special webcast because you won't be able to get this information that we're going to share today in our conversation anyplace else, and it's really going to be a valuable conversation for you. Also, it is the first time ever that we are privileged to host a discussion with two Lifeboat publishers whose products stand alone in excellence in their own right, but in this case they also integrate together to offer customers a truly unique and compelling alternative to the big hardware vendor lock-in for storage and disaster recovery. So this is going to be exciting for us today. In today's webcast, you are going to get a view into PhD Virtual's Recovery Management Suite and DataCore SANsymphony-V. We will discuss the value these products offer to customers with virtual and cloud environments, but then we will discuss how the products actually fit together and the unique value proposition that creates for customers and the really great potential that creates for you in terms of growing your sales, adding services, and delivering added value to your customers. At this time, just before we get the event started, I want to thank our main panelists for their participation, and they are from PhD Virtual, Joe Noonan. Joe is a Senior Product Manager for PhD, and I would also like to welcome from DataCore Software, Håkan Soderbaum. Håkan is the Director of Alliances for DataCore, and we also have Alan Porter, and Alan is an SE with DataCore. So it's great to have everybody here. You make a great panel for us, and I can't wait to jump into this discussion. But just before we do, I do want to encourage our audience to ask questions. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for questions from this discussion, and you may enter those questions in the Q&A panel on the right-hand side of the screen. And at the conclusion of the presentation, we will answer as many questions as time permits. We are also going to be popping up some polling questions along the way. So please answer as many of the questions as you can. And remember, we are also going to give away a $100 Amex gift card to one lucky attendee before we sign off. Okay, so now let's get the panel in here. Let me make sure everybody is unmuted. And panel, it's great to be with you today. And of course, we're going to talk about how PhD's Recovery Management Suite works with DataCore's SANsymphony-V to make it easy for customers to meet SLAs and compliance objectives. But before we discuss the power of the combined solution, I thought we could spend a little time explaining to our audience the strengths and flexibility of your individual products. So Joe, let's begin with RMS. If I'm a customer running a virtualized environment, what are a few key things I should be concerned with when it comes to protecting my data?
Hi, Don. How you doing? Thanks. It's a really good opening question. So, while there are a lot of facets to a strong data protection and recovery strategy, I think the key concerns can be summed up pretty quickly. Now, first, you should always deploy a strategy that meets your recovery time objectives. Now, those are going to vary quite a bit from application to application, and sometimes even from one user to another in the environment. Now, second, you want to ensure that your data is protected adequately across all types of events and outages. So we all know that protection and recovery within a single site is much different and has many different requirements than handling full site outages. Therefore, you want to take advantage of solutions that can be very granular in their recovery needs, so you're not taking hours to recover a single file or email, but you also want something robust enough to handle full application and site recovery requirements. And lastly, I think the protection window is very important. So while recovery is extremely critical, the most critical thing, you can't afford to impact productivity with the protection process. So it needs to be efficient and really cost-effective as well.
Okay. And what are some of the key benefits that me as a customer with a virtualized environment could realize by implementing PhD's Recovery Management Suite?
So I think the nice thing about the RMS is that for VMware virtual environments, we have a solution that covers those three key concerns pretty well that I mentioned before. It includes backup and recovery for those granular local recovery needs. So from a single image-based backup, we're able to instantly present your data back to you so that you can search and recover emails, SharePoint objects, SQL objects, and any kind of general files. And we can also spin up VMs from our backup target to instantly recover those as well. Now, the RMS also includes DR orchestration for broader outages that require recovery off-site or even in the cloud. So recovering full applications, groups of applications that make up a business service, or even full sites can be completely automated and verified continuously. And a key thing here is that our recovery verification for DR actually measures recovery time actuals against their objectives for SLA compliance, which is something that's pretty unique in the industry right now. And of course, the RMS can also move data very efficiently, both locally and across sites. And it even includes a connection to cloud storage with our cloud hook component if you don't have a secondary site of your own. So you can put your data out on Amazon S3 or Rackspace or something like that.
That's a really compelling, powerful solution, Joe. Offers a lot of flexibility. You cover the data center. You've got the cloud covered. That's a great solution all by itself. But I want to move on now to Håkan, and it's your turn to answer the same question. So if I'm that customer running a virtualized environment, what would be a few key things I should be concerned with when it comes to business continuity and management of data storage?
Hey, Don, thank you for asking. So when I think about virtualization, there are a number of considerations, good and bad. So typically, we put more workloads and more users. I mean, that's really one of the ideas by doing virtualization. You consolidate your hardware. When you do that, you also potentially get a more brittle infrastructure, because if something breaks, it will have a much wider impact. On the good side, in addition to better resource utilization and hardware independence, which are driving factors for virtualizing, virtualization also makes clustering and moving workloads around easier. But this is all about virtualization on the host, on the application servers. There is this big white space here, and it's the ugly cousin that most people forget, and that is storage. Because it comes as a bad surprise halfway through the project that the impact of that virtualization on the host is now compromised. And storage often becomes a bottleneck, either requiring expensive upgrades, and we've heard about all these projects, they have to buy lots of flash at the very last stages of the project to keep it on, and the budget is killed, and the project gets a bad reputation. But even more importantly is that while the workloads now might be redundant, storage is now becoming a single point of failure. And we can't live with that, of course. So the combination, or what we do from DataCore with SANsymphony-V, is basically creating the same environment for storage that ESX, Hyper-V, or Xen Server creates for the workloads. Basically, we virtualize it, we create virtual disks that are very resilient, they're very fast, and they can be moved around.
Okay. And in terms of the real business benefits that I can enjoy by implementing SANsymphony-V, what can you tell me about that? What are the kinds of things that will be lessened in terms of my pains when running SANsymphony-V?
Hey, did you bring up this slide for me here? It looks beautiful.
Sure.
I'll use it. Okay, so what I was talking about before, at the top here we see some servers, some physical servers. They have some virtual workloads on them in blue. At the bottom we have a number of different storage. I see some PCI storage there. I see some storage arrays, different kinds, maybe some SAS drive, flash drives, legacy systems. Now, how do you tie all this together? Well, I alluded to that before. You want to virtualize it. You want to make it flexible. you want to create hardware independence. And DataCore SANsymphony-V is a piece of software running on a PC server. And here illustrated by the two red boxes in the middle. Typically, you deploy DataCore with one, mostly two or more nodes. And that is to achieve that redundancy that we can do. And we do that by constantly mirroring the data between the two nodes. And the effect you get is if one node goes down, so it's one part of your storage goes down, the other one takes over instantaneously. This is what we refer as high availability. And it really alleviates a lot of the strategy around backup and disaster recovery because we're resilient already in the data path. The next step is when we expand on this and add the DR. So in the first case, I moved that up to the left here. We could think about maybe a couple of hospitals. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit here. I'm trying to jump around a little bit here.
Where do you need to be, Håkan?
I am trying to be on the slide where I have the I'm sorry, that one, no.
Let me do this. Let me give you some control.
No, don't do anything now. We're good.
Okay. Okay, we're good? Okay.
So,
go ahead.
Consider a couple of hospitals, and they might be set up in what we would term a metro cluster. So they're not next to each other. They're a number of kilometers apart. The beauty here is that they can act as high availability sites for each other. So if one hospital goes down, all the information will be instantaneously available through the other system. And this is what we talk about and call high availability and high resiliency. But any strong IT infrastructure strategy needs to have a strong backup story. And that's where we add here. And I can see if I can get the bill to work.
Hold on.
The bill doesn't want to work.
Hold on. All right, let's try that now.
All right, so what I'm trying to show is how disaster recovery works in conjunction with the high availability. There we go. That looks great. So now you could consider another site, maybe across the country, that acts as the destination for the data. And what we do asynchronously in real time is sending all that data, all those changes constantly over to the remote site. So if the main site goes down or becomes unavailable, it can be stood up in that remote site. So that's two of the core capabilities of DataCore. If you now add what PHP Virtual does and the magic of assuring what's on the remote site and being able to stand up and know that you can meet your objectives, that's real benefit to get there. If I look at it at a higher level, you'd also get the independence from the storage hardware, which means you can move from generation to generation within the vendors' categories or between vendors. And we see this, for instance, be very popular these days with flash vendors because we make it very easy, or flash buyers, we make it very easy to introduce flash into an existing storage environment. So that, I think I've summarized some of the key benefits here a customer would expect.
Excellent, thank you. Now we're gonna kind of tag team the rest of the conversation, because from here, where we're going to go is to talking about what happens when we put these two great solutions together. So, Joe, we're going to start with you. Can you describe for our resellers the unique data recovery strategy that can be implemented by combining the products into one integrated solution? And then, Håkan, you can jump in, on top of Joe when he gives us the initial explanation. Go ahead, Joe.
Great, thanks, Don. And I actually have an illustration that'll help visualize this for folks as we're talking through it, if you want to just show that really quickly on the screen.
Yep.
There we go.
Okay.
Now, not to steal Hawkins' thunder, but as he alluded, DataCore does, from a protection side of things, it does a great job of protecting virtual environments with strict on-site and off-site recovery requirements, because you can have HA and DR in one solution. And the piece that we love about DataCore at PhD is that it's all software. So you can use various storage hardware vendors under the hood to keep costs way down, and PhD has a similar message in a lot of ways. Now, where we augment that in the production environment is with granular recovery of data from our virtual backup appliance, or what you see here in the illustration as the VBA. So this is just a small Linux virtual machine that handles backup and recovery at a granular level on your production site, while DataCore is handling HA and replication off-site. Now, at the DR side, we augment that by leveraging the replication of DataCore SANsymphony under the hood at the data level. But what we do to augment it is give it more application awareness in terms of disaster recovery and compliance with our reliable DR products. So that's actually going to be a Windows-based installation living at your DR site only. So you have one component that lives at the production site doing granular backup and recovery, one component living at the DR site handling the DR aspects of things. Now, just to clarify what I meant by app awareness here is that DataCore ensures that your data is protected across sites at the data store level in a VMware environment. What PhD is going to do, what Reliable DR is going to do, is go into those replicated data stores and verify that the virtualized applications within those data stores are recoverable. And we're going to store those certified recovery points for failover to even to earlier points in time by using the efficient DataCore SAN snapshots at the DR site. So we have good integration between the products. So we're orchestrating application-level recovery verification at your DR site continuously to assure that recovery is going to be successful if you ever do have an outage, and within SLAs, because we're measuring against recovery time actuals.
Okay.
The only thing I want to add on top of that is the importance of a strategy. This isn't just the opportunity to provide a point solution, but it's actually a way of looking at how data flows, primary data flows within applications, between applications, and how that ties together with the DR strategy.
Excellent.
Definitely.
And you know, not to be redundant, but I do want to be sure that our audience really understands that, you know, this isn't some, you know, gerrymandered rigging of two products together. So tell us what a customer can expect in terms of the level of integration that exists between Recovery Management Suite and SANsymphony-V. And Joe, if you wouldn't mind starting that one off.
Sure, and there's definitely real integration going on here under the hood, and it really exists within the Reliable DR product integrating with SANsymphony. We're well integrated into the DataCore interfaces to identify VMs and LUNs that are at that DR site so that we can bring them up and isolate them for testing that doesn't impact your production environment. And we also do this on the failover processes as well. We also integrate with the DataCore APIs to take snapshots so that we can provide those multiple recovery points that have been certified by our testing process at the DR site. And even further, we'll go in and manage some of the replication aspects of SANsymphony for planned failover and failback. And the last one here is key because, you know, many solutions that do DR, they struggle a lot with failback. The joint PhD DataCore solution makes that whole process incredibly easy because there's no reseeding required at either site. We basically just can shut down production, move just the changes over to the DR site, bring up the DR site so you can do your testing, or you can have applications running there if it was a planned migration of some sort. And then we just do the same thing to reverse it back the other way when you need to. So it's very efficient in that whole failover and failback process, which a lot of folks and a lot of solutions don't always get both sides of that. And really that's all enabled by the integration between Reliable DR's software and the SANsymphony arrays.
And PhD Virtual Scenes did an excellent job in driving most of this integration work. From the DataCore side, when we realized the power of what they've accomplished, We took it through our own testing and took it through our DataCore Ready testing framework to certify it.
So that's excellent. So it's not only a well-integrated solution, but it's actually DataCore certified, and I think that's an important consideration for our resellers and for customers. So because now we have the two highly flexible products that fit well together, can you talk about the actual business benefits that can be realized by customers running this solution?
So if I just kick that off first, because I'm going to answer that question from a slightly higher level. When I look at storage and where storage is moving, in the last few months what's happened is that most of the large storage vendors have made announcements around storage virtualization, and in the bigger scope, the software-defined storage. And it's really about doing the same thing on the storage side as happened on the workload side, meaning making it hardware independent. But that in a way is an oxymoron when it comes from the big storage vendors, because they do everything they can to tie you into their storage strategy. What DataCore with SANsymphony-V is doing is giving you that storage capabilities as a piece of software that you run on a PC server, basically. So you decide when you want to upgrade either the software or the hardware component of the storage controller, because it's just a PC server. This gives you flexibility, hardware independence, and it gives you all the benefits of virtualization that you come to expect and that customers are coming to expect. But there's also everything else that goes with virtualization. Because the industry is moving in that direction, you're really future-proofing your customers' investments. And from getting that infrastructure in place, you get flexibility. And you get the flexibility, for instance, to add the capabilities of what PhD Virtual is adding with reliable VR. So Joe, do you want to expand on that?
Sure. And that's a great explanation. So just to add a little bit, with all the orchestration and efficiency that the joint solution provides, in my opinion, I see the primary benefits are really that we significantly reduce downtime, complexity, and cost. And we all know that there's significant business impacts associated with downtime these days. I mean, I've seen some estimates of impact come in at $5,000 per minute, and that's just for smaller businesses. So the protection and automation provided helps keep companies running as much as possible in the event of any kind of virtual environment outage. And SLA management becomes much easier, and for many, that alone can be seen as a business benefit due to the cost savings or potential upsell in revenue for cloud DR providers and MSPs that really have to push for that compliance piece of it.
Thank you so much for that great explanation. I mean, it just sounds amazing. But quickly, is there any one example of a live implementation that you could tell us about where this is working today?
Hey, actually, I have one. I think the most famous one is actually there was a government organization in the UK, and for reasons I can't even mention it, but think of an organization that mixes Homeland Security, Food and Drug Administration, and their Environmental Protection Agency into one agency. That's a little bit what we're talking about here. And in short, it was the organization responsible for public safety during the Olympic Games in London. So leading into the Games, this agency was evaluating VMware Site Recovery Manager, but they basically concluded that it didn't meet their needs. And that's how DataCore with SANsymphony-V was brought on board. And it took them only 3 weeks to evaluate from initial introduction to closing the deal. So they definitely saw the value, and it ran successfully, obviously, leading into the Games and through the Games.
Yeah, and obviously we remember that organization as well, given how public they were with being involved in so many things over there in the UK. And an important point to note in this particular customer example is that they actually already had a backup vendor in place. So they only went with DataCore and the reliable DR portions of the offering. So this shows that the joint solution can be holistic, just like the picture that you see on the screen, but it can also be modularized based on the need of customer. And for this particular customer, compliance regulations were creating pretty significant burdens on their resources to execute DR testing and keep active reports for DR compliance. And they shored this solution up from DataCore's side by adding reliable DR from PhD to really automate all those VMware-based disaster recovery testing, failover, and failback functions. So now, when they used to really only test once a year, they're testing recovery several times a day. And when you think about that paradigm shift, no one really wants to do DR testing that frequently, but the fact that it's automated by reliable DR and it doesn't impact your production, why wouldn't you want to do it? Because ultimately we significantly mitigate the risk of issues during recovery in an outage at the VMware level.
That's such an important message right there. Thank you for that explanation, and that's an exciting example of the technology in use in the real world. And you know, it's an exciting story, you know, from the standpoint of the technology being offered and the business benefits to the customers. But now for the rest of the conversation, let's talk about our resellers and why this is such an important solution for them to embrace. So let's talk about what are some of the ways the resellers can make money selling RMS with SANsymphony-V. And Håkan, do you want to start this one off?
I'd be happy to. So okay. I think there are 3 or 4 different ways that come to my mind. The first one would be where a customer has run into challenges that I alluded to before. You know, they've been doing virtualization, maybe doing VDI. It's way too slow, or it's getting way too expensive. Bringing in a software-based solution might just be the key to saving that project for them. So that's more of a tactical opportunity. Also, what I alluded to before is the whole concept of software-defined storage and storage virtualization, that it allows you to go in and work with a customer, look at their whole infrastructure, and in particular what's focused around storage, and basically become a trusted advisor, because what you're bringing to them is a technology that in a way they're familiar with on the host side, where the applications are running and being virtualized, but they're probably struggling on the storage side, and they're getting lots of different messages from EMC, from NetApp, IBM, Hitachi, and so on, who all have their own self-serving storage virtualization strategies. And what you now bring into the table is a level of freedom for them and a direction forward. So I think it's an opportunity to address bigger projects, company-wide initiatives, and become that trusted advisor. The third area would be many of your customers may not have a secondary site to do DR replication to, or even HA in between. And maybe you have or have considered to starting your own data center and acting at that DR remote site. And this is an excellent opportunity, because with these software components we're talking about here today, you can do that replication in real time. You can act as your customer's remote DR site and potentially even stand up those workloads in your own data center. There's a huge amount of service-level agreements you can start with a customer and have them grow in your data center. So for those that are looking at their own infrastructure, that's definitely an important area to look deeper at. And of course, as you can imagine, around all these 3 initiatives, there's lots of services to be addressed, both from feasibility reviews to outlining the strategy to doing implementations. So lots and lots of opportunities.
Excellent. Okay, let's move on a little bit here now to your partner programs. Both PhD and DataCore, you're offering channel partner programs that are friendly to resellers. So Joe, what can you tell us about some of the benefits of the PhD program?
Sure. So, for PhD, our internal reps do most of their selling over the phone. So we rely on our partners to be our customer-facing feet on the street. And to incent our partners, we make sure that our deal registration program is very easy to use. For instance, we have no minimums, anything like that, and offer significant margin opportunities to you as partners. And also, we've got a great partner portal. Just about every document we produce is on that portal. We have little, if any, internal use documents. We expose pretty much everything to all of you to be able to sell better. Because we want to make sure that you have every resource possible that a PhD rep would have internally. And our partners have access to all of our sales and technical resources. Of course, we have great technology, and I'm not just saying that. I can't tell you how often partners tell me that they love our software and because it just does what we say it does. And that's a very powerful message for partners because they know they're selling really nice products and feel comfortable presenting PhD to their clients as a result.
Excellent. And Håkan, how about for you? What would you like the resellers to know about DataCore's program?
Okay. So we made a decision about a year ago. We went from an open channel model where anyone could sign up to actually we closed our channel. And we did that while at the same time transforming our own sales team. So DataCore actually takes responsibility for sourcing, vetting, and developing the prospect so that we can hand over well-qualified leads to our resellers. And I should also say that we never sell direct. We always work through our partners. So what we've seen in the last year here is we have slightly fewer resellers, but those we have are incredibly loyal because they see they get so much value coming from DataCore.
Okay, all right, that's good to know too, and very good for our audience to remember in terms of thinking about DataCore. So to wrap this up, I wanted to give our audience a sense of the resources that would be available to really help our resellers be effective selling the RMS SANsymphony-V solution. Joe, I know you mentioned that PhD makes all types of collateral available to resellers, but how much is there that's available that speaks to the joint solution? And I'll let either one of you begin on that one.
Sure, I'll just kind of start off really quickly here, and this is a great way to wrap up. So first, yes, I did mention we have a great partner portal. Everything is accessible. www.phdvirtual.com/partners will get you there very quickly. You can follow the links there to register, and you'll get immediate access to not just online videos and certifications, but also joint solution briefs, white papers, sales guides, things like that. And specifically with PhD, we have a Technology Alliance section on our website that contains collateral specific to this joint solution. So pretty much everything you would expect really is out there on that portal and available online. Plus you'll get on our mailing list for additional monthly webcasts and promotions and things like that.
Yeah, and I can echo that. We put a lot of our information out on the open website, datacore.com, solution sheets, videos, partner and alliance documentation. Then we also have a specific partner reseller portal where we put training materials, competitive information, anything that a partner could benefit from in understanding our solution and how to sell it, where to sell it, and also how to work with DataCore. And I actually, when we talk about resources, I would like to highlight our outstanding support as well. So we follow the sun, meaning that we have support centers in Tokyo, Japan, in UK, in Europe, and in Florida, here in the US. And we provide 24/7 mission-critical support. And we are very flexible. We know that some of our resellers don't have that capability. So we allow our resellers and customers to come directly to us or through the reseller. We usually work on a project-by-project basis deciding, but we try to be really flexible there, knowing that we have our customers' data in trust in our software, so we need to be available all the time.
Okay. And our team here at Lifeboat is always here to help our resellers. But if one of our great resellers uncovers an opportunity and maybe they need some technical pre-sales help to sort out the solution, are there resources available from both sides that can help in that area?
Yeah, absolutely on the PhD side, and I'm sure oCan will let you know the same on DataCore side. For PhD, our pre-sales team works with our partners daily. If it's deal related, our sales reps will connect a partner with a technical resource to help out with the deal. And if a partner has a general question or they just want some in-depth information, our channel managers can work with a partner to coordinate a call or a go-to-meeting from that and of course get those answers to the partners. And of course we also have a certification program for sales and for pre-sales. It's all self-service, it's on our partner portal, the tests are all online, very easy to go out there and make that available for you to be able to, test your awareness and knowledge using the resources we provided on our solutions, get certified, and be listed as a certified partner there. So the bottom line here is there's always a way to get a partner the information they need in a time-sensitive manner.
Excellent.
So on the DataCore side, we're set up with 6 regions in the U.S., and each region is headed by a sales director with SEs and internal sales reps supporting those regions. So that sales director would be the main point of contact for account planning and working through projects and to some extent through campaigns. But then we also have an overlay organization specifically working with the channel, running events. So that's one of our main strategies for last year and next year, run local events with strong content, strong attendees, strong speakers, and building those relationships directly with the customers. And as I said earlier, helping make sure that the leads we bring to the table are hot leads that can help drive revenue.
That's terrific. Well, listen, thank you, panel, for the great discussion about protecting virtual and cloud environments. At this time, we're going to move on to Q&A. So if anyone in the audience has been, taking in all the information about PhD's Recovery Management Suite, DataCore's SANsymphony-V, and the combined solution, you do still have a few minutes where you can pop in a question, but I'll start with what we have on the screen right now. And one is, how can I get both vendors involved in a sales opportunity? And I think that for me, what I would say about that is you can always come to your Lifeboat Distribution sales rep, or you can email sales@Lifeboat Distribution. We work daily with both vendors very effectively. We have strong partnerships with both, and your Lifeboat rep would be really happy to coordinate getting both support from PhD and DataCore in order to help you move any sales opportunity along. The next question that I see on the screen, first of all, kudos for the good support strategy. But then the question is actually, do we have to advise if we are tied to a distributor when we complete training? So I'll let each of you take that one. I'm not familiar with how your training sites are set up.
So from the DataCore perspective, everything we provide online on the partner portal in terms of documentation, training, insight, recommendations, installation guides, and all that, that's available for free. The actually in-person training to become a DataCore implementation engineer, that's first 3 days administrative class and 2 days certification class. That is not for free. Now, that's not tied to what distributor you're working with, but those trainings are delivered either by DataCore or by certified training partners that we have around the country.
And specifically to the question, if it was related to some of the online training that I mentioned on the PhD side, the answer is no. When you're doing the training, there's no specific distributor information needed there. When you do any deal regs, of course, you would list the distributor there for Lifeboat.
Okay. And now I have one more question, and I think you can each take a turn at this one as well, which is if I have either an existing DataCore customer who's running SANsymphony-V standalone today, or if I have a PhD customer, is it possible for me to go back to my customer and say, hey, you might want to look at, in the case of DataCore, at PhD's Recovery Management Suite, or if it's the other way around, is it possible to put the two solutions together at that point, or is it something that really should be architected at the beginning of a project?
I'll start with this one and then let Håkan add in a little bit. So the answer is they can be added at various times. They are modularized, so Reliable DR is a specific product. The PC Virtual Backup product is specific, and then you have DataCore under the hood. They can all do their own thing individually. They just work really, really nicely together, and Reliable DR and DataCore are integrated. So you can choose to implement one before the other if they're an existing customer of either of ours, and bring the other in at a later date. It's always great to design these strategies out up front, but you don't always have that opportunity. We want to make sure that you're enabled and aware that when you're talking to customers and they have these needs, you can help them design these strategies out, pick up services revenue on DR assessments and implementations and things like that as a part of the joint solution. But there is no harm at all in going back to your existing DataCore customers or your existing PhD customers and saying, hey, listen, have you seen this great add-on solution that augments the individual one, and you can definitely go there and then add in the products and the services on top of that at that point in time later on.
Okay, Håkan, would you like to add anything to that, or does that pretty much sum it up for you as well?
Yeah, that was a very good answer.
Okay, all right, terrific. Well, then, audience, we've gotten to the part that I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for. We're going to give away the $100 Amex gift card at this time. So just give me a moment here, and here we go. Today's winner is Jamie Barsky from SHI. So thank you so much, Jamie, for attending today. Thank everybody for attending. But Jamie, you are our winner, and we will get that gift card off to you very promptly. Okay, moving along here now, I'm going to move on to our call to action before we wrap things up. But if any other questions do come to mind while I talk through our call to action, please feel free to still enter them. We would like to make sure that you leave here today with all of your questions answered. So, for more information on Recovery Management Suite, we recommend that for existing PhD partners, you go to the partner portal and you explore that resource for all of the things that Joe talked about earlier. And if you need to sign up as a PhD partner, you can go to a slightly different area on the website, the phdvirtual.com/partners page, and you can register there to become a PhD partner. And of course, if you have any questions, you can contact your Lifeboat sales rep here. For DataCore and more information on SANsymphony-V, I have a link up there that takes you directly to the SANsymphony-V page. But you can also find great information, as Håkan described, on the DataCore partner portal as well. So data sheets, information on the channel program, various types of training, it's all available from DataCore as well. We always recommend that you contact your Lifeboat sales rep if you need pricing or any type of pre-sales assistance or product information. And as we just covered, if you really need to or really want to speak to both organizations about designing a solution and you need that pre-sales assistance, your Lifeboat rep is where you want to start, because we will make sure that it all happens for you here, and so that you can build a great solution for your customers and pull in all of the revenue possible from that opportunity. Okay, we are going to move on now. I took one last check for questions, and it looks like we've covered everything for you. What I will say is, should you think of anything after we say goodbye here in a moment, you can reach out to Joe or Håkan or me or your Lifeboat sales rep, Also keep in mind that we have resources on the Lifeboat website, including by tomorrow we will have a recording of this webinar available. So if you have colleagues who maybe couldn't make this event today, we will get the links out to you, and please share those because we want as many people to know about the power of this really well integrated solution as possible. All right. Well, thank you again, everybody. For everybody at Lifeboat Distribution and PhD Virtual and DataCore Software, we thank you so much. We wish you the happiest of holidays and hope you have a great rest of your day today. Bye now, everybody.